As educators, we all have those moments that just stick with us. And for me, one of those moments was when a kindergarten teacher at my school came up and asked me if I would make a social story about death for one of her students whose mom had died unexpectedly. Of course, I instantly agreed, but I had no clue how I was going to pull this off. I didn't even know where to begin. So I sat down, and I knew that this social story, as I sat down to write it, I knew that it needed to have a couple things. I think what I came up with is not technically called a social story. It would be considered a social narrative. It is a social narrative about death for young children. Okay, so I knew that it needed to have a couple of things. It needed to be simple and easy to understand. I needed to use simple language. This was a little boy who had speech and language delays, and I needed to use these simple language to explain a really complex topic to this little boy. I also knew that it needed to be custom created for this child. Everybody has different beliefs about what happens when we die and afterlife and all of those things, and it needed to be custom created for him and his family and what they believed. And then the third thing is I really, really wanted this little boy to know that his mom had not abandoned him. She had not, yes, she was gone, but she still loved him, and, that she had not left because she wanted to. So those were the three things that were really important for me to include in my social narrative. Okay, so here's how we used this social narrative about death at my school. The first thing is, as I sat down and was creating it, I called Dad and I talked to him. I explained to him what a social narrative was, how you use it. And I asked specifically for his feedback on their family beliefs and what he wanted me to say had happened to, the mom, how much, he wanted me to include in that. This was their story and it needed to have his input. Next is I had Dad send me pictures of the little boy, and in this case, the mom. I wanted it to be personalized for this little boy, and I wanted it to be special and him to have some pictures of them to make that special for him. And then finally, we made 2 copies of this story. We had one that we kept at school, and we would read that. He was encouraged, whenever he was missing her or he was feeling sad, he was encouraged to go and ask for it, find it, and we would look at it with him. I also sent a copy home and encouraged Dad to read it frequently and show the little boy, the story, and to talk about it and to open those lines of communication. This is one of those situations that, I really hope you never have to have. I mean, it is heartbreaking to even imagine a kindergarten student, losing his mom unexpectedly or her mom unexpectedly. But if you do ever find yourself in a place, not even just mom, but anyone important in a child's life, if you ever find yourself in a situation where you're like, hey, I need a story to explain this, or something to kind of get my creative juices flowing, I do have a free version of this on Teachers Pay Teachers. This is one of the first resources I ever created. It is free. It will always be free. So I will link it in the description if you have a young child who is struggling with the concept of death and you want some words or some ideas to help you maybe know what to say to explain that. I would love for you to check it out.